this company, iCheong, the business development manager, Mr. Andy Lowe, reached out to me and said that certain facts, what I said is incorrect. So I thought I make a detailed version of this product video so that I clarify my point. And first, thanks, Mr. Andy Lowe. You have been very kind. You wrote a very nice message with in a very perfect gentleman manner, and I truly appreciate it. Because of that, I truly respect you and your company for that. So for that, I salute. Now, let me clarify from my point of view so that we both understand each other very well about the video. First, what I'm doing is to educate people on ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods in simple terms means we use ingredients which is not used as part of standard cooking in every household. So your product, iCheong Teh Tarik, comes under ultra-processed food by definition of NOVO. So I am educating people on reducing ultra-processed food or even eliminating it as much as possible, because on a day-to-day basis, I see too many young people now with cancer, stroke, heart attack, which were diseases of the elderly some time ago. But now, many young people are suffering from it, including kidney failures. It's all due to diabetes, high blood pressure, and metabolic syndrome, which is starting young because most people now are not eating healthy, and they choose to go for ready-made options, and whereby that's where products like this facilitates them to go for a drink, whereas they don't understand it is an ultra-processed food which over time will lead to metabolic syndrome. So I'm coming from health point of view, not by attacking your company, attacking your product, no. Not just your company, to be very fair, almost all companies which make such products use similar processing methods. So it's just not that you are the one making things with a lot of artificial stuff. No. Every single company I go pick, everything have pretty much the same ingredients. So I am making it very clear. I'm not targeting your company or you or anything. I'm merely doing as an educator to help people understand what goes into every ingredient and telling them go for natural alternatives. To me, a Teh Tarik means all I know is only three things. As an Indian, we all enjoy Teh Tarik from young. What is it? Only three ingredients. Tea. We boil real fresh milk. We add 1 teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of tea depending on the concentration. And when it is come up to boil, we add natural sugar or palm sugar to our taste, and then we filter it and we drink it. That's real Teh Tarik. But in this product and other similar products, I see too many chemically processed ingredients, so which I will now cover in detail. So I'm going to put your message so that people can read your message, and then I will give my explanations. So if I were to go to your message, you say that I have found some misleading comments that you can't accept. So the first word that in our ingredient list is glucose syrup. So you have clarified that glucose syrup is part of the creamer and not your main ingredient. So I have a question. Your main ingredient must be tea. So you put 5% of it is tea. As per the label, it is, yes, tea, instant black tea is 5%. So what is the remaining 95%? Yes, I guess we can have more 100% tea. That is definitely not possible to drink. So I truly understand that you need a very small concentrated and 5%. So that I absolutely got no problem. But I'm deeply concerned with the remaining 95% of the ingredient in every pack. So I want to correct on that. So your packaging, it goes iCheong 3-in-1 classic Teh Tarik is only made from instant black tea powder. The ingredients served to mix in fine sugar and creamer. Result of traditional processed mixture, delightful tea fragrance with silky milk, feel remembrance the taste. This is on your packaging. to me, as said earlier, real Thetaric only 3 ingredients. Fresh milk, when it is boiling, add 1 or 2 teaspoons of tea. Then upon boiling, at the time of filtering it out, we add 1 teaspoon of sugar. We boil for some more time and we filter it and drink. But the ingredients here is far off from how a freshly Thetaric is made. So now your first ingredient is creamer, right? So under creamer, so there are several items. So to make creamer, you use glucose syrup, you use hydrogenated palm kernel oil, you use sodium caseinate, then bracket contains milk protein, emulsifier INS 471, stabilizer INS 340, anti-caking agent. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients to make creamer. Honestly, if the real Thetaric, it's just supposed to be 1 ingredient, real fresh milk. That's it. But here, we got 5. So that alone is of great concern to me, because creamer also got sugar. Then you have added sugar as another ingredient, and then there is a sweetener which is sucralose, which is a controversial ingredient because it comes under artificial sweetener. So now let me go down into each item. So then I actually used AI to check whether your product falls under ultra processed food. Yes, this is the result. It says, yes, Aikyong Thetaric is classified as an ultra-processed food according to the Novo classification system. Why? Because you use ingredients which is not used as part of standard kitchen item, what people cook when people cook at home. Instant 3-in-1 tea mixtures fall into this category because they are industrial formulations. That's my concern. Made with additives. That's another concern to me. These ingredients in Aikyong products typically include non-dairy creamer. Yes, the first item you put is creamer with 5 ingredients. And it is hydrogenated palm kernel oil, glucose syrup, solid sodium caseinate, which to me is not right. Comes under ultra-processed food. Then, if we make, then first ingredient is glucose syrup. Very simple. You boil sugar, you get glucose syrup. And glucose syrup is of concern to me. Why? It will spike the sugar immediately upon consumption, because I have come across many diabetic people who are on several medications and insulin. So what happens, sometimes they go into very low sugar. And do you know what's the first item they take? Glucose powder. Very fine refined glucose powder. Why? It instantly brings up the blood sugar. Yes, for them they are on several medications. So sometimes the sugar drops below dangerously level, so we need to bring up. So when glucose can spike, that's of concern, because why? Anyone drinking this, the sugar level is going to spike for people. Especially if you say, if they drink after a high carb meal with mountain of rice, and then on top of it they add this, it's going to spike even further. That's going to make a diabetic condition worse. That may cause more issues, side effects like heart attack, stroke, etc. So that's what I meant in my original video. So let's be clear. First ingredient in creamer is glucose syrup, where in nature it must be real milk. Second, hydrogenated palm kernel oil. So hydrogenated palm kernel oil poses significant health risks, primarily due to its high saturated fat content and the potential presence of trans fat. That again is another health risk. So first is glucose syrup health risk. Second is hydrogenated palm kernel oil is the second health risk. So as per AI, it says it causes cardiovascular disease. The high saturated fat levels raise low LDL cholesterol, which can lead to clogged arteries, increasing the risks of heart attack and stroke. And my main objective to what I educate clients is, please watch your diet, because your diet may promote heart attack, stroke or cancer if you're not careful, and if it gets too much of artificial ingredients which comes under ultra processed food. Your product matches it. Then trans fat exposure. If the oil is partially hydrogenated, it contains artificial trans fats. Trans fats are considered double trouble for heart health because they simultaneously raise LDL cholesterol and lower good HDL cholesterol, directly contributing to heart diseases and type 2 diabetes. That's what I mentioned in my original video, in short. Third, weight gain. The high caloric density and frequent presence of this fat is highly processed, sugary or salty snacks make it a major contributor to obesity and metabolic syndrome. So the first ingredient, glucose syrup, causes metabolic syndrome. Second ingredient, hydrogenated palm kernel oil, adds fuel to the flame. Now let's move on to the third ingredient, which is sodium caseinate. So how is it made? Sodium caseinate is made by extracting casein protein from the skim milk. First of all, it is not even a fresh milk. Skim milk means is where they agitate the milk and remove the fat layer, because the most important sacred layer of a milk is the fat, high fat. Because why? Our every cell membrane is surrounded by fat. We are already removing the goodness, and then again we are extracting casein protein from skimmed milk. That's another disaster. Separating the curds from the whey and treating them with a food grade alkali like sodium hydroxide. Sorry, I don't know what sodium hydroxide you are using, but in Singapore, if you want to hold sodium hydroxide, you need NEA clearance because it is considered as a toxic item. It may pollute the environment, and all I know as of now is if you are making soaps, yes, you need sodium hydroxide and NEA will approve it, but provided you meet all the criteria to safeguard. Else, ordinary person can't get access to sodium hydroxide. So, as per definition, sodium caseinate is made by extracting casein protein from skim milk, separating the curds from the whey and treating them with food-grade alkali like sodium hydroxide. So, it means it looks like there are two grades. One is a food-grade sodium hydroxide and the other one is a chemical grade. Well, to me, it's already ultra-processed. So, what are the steps taken is curdling, acid casein production. Fresh skim milk is heated and treated with an acid such as an lactic acid or hydrochloric acid to lower the pH to around 4.6. This causes the casein protein to solidify and precipitate into curds. Then washing and separation. The resulting curds are thoroughly washed to remove residual whey and lactose, then processed to reduce moisture. Then neutralization. The moist casein curd is dispersed in water and treated with an alkali, typically sodium hydroxide, which raises the pH back to neutral. This chemical reaction transforms the insoluble protein into a soluble salt. Then drying. The liquid mixture is then processed through an evaporator and spray dried to produce the final shelf-stable sodium caseinate powder. And its uses? Because it acts as an excellent emulsifier, stabilizer and thickener. Sodium caseinate is widely used in coffee creamers, yes, exactly as you used, and all other companies use it too. Processed meats, protein bars and whipped toppings. So first ingredient is sugar, second is hydrogenated palm kernel, and third is sodium caseinate, which also goes through 4 steps of process. So it is ultra processed as per me. Then the next ingredient is emulsifier 471. So it is a common food additive composed of mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, which functions as an emulsifier and stabilizer. It is widely used in bakery products, ice creams and chocolates to mix ingredients that normally separate, like oil and water. So it is like mixing things. You need an emulsifier because oil and water don't mix. So we need to use this as a catalyst to mix it. So again, it goes through another artificial process. It is made by reacting glycerol with natural fatty acids through a chemical process known as glycerolysis or transterification. Wow, even it's so hard to pronounce. The fatty acid used to manufacture INS 471 can be sourced from either vegetable oils, such as palm, soy, or sunflower, or animal fats such as beef tallow or lard. Because it can be derived from animal sources, strict vegetarians, vegans, or those requiring halal or kosher rely on specific product labeling. Anyway, I don't see all that, whether it's an animal source or a plant source. There is no details on INS 471. So every ingredient you used here so far goes through multiple processes, which is of great concern to me because I'm very worried about the health of people, because now so many young people in 30s are having cancer, stroke, heart attack. And that's one reason I started this channel, to educate people to stay away from ultra-processed foods. Then the next ingredient is INS 340, which is the fourth ingredient. It is food additive code for potassium phosphates, which are an inorganic mineral salts made by combining potassium and phosphorus. It is widely used in the food industry as an acidity regulator, stabilizer, emulsifier, and buffering agent. So how is it made? It is sourcing phosphoric acid. Food grade phosphoric acid is first produced from naturally occurring phosphate rocks. Neutralization. The phosphoric acid is reacted with a potassium source such as potassium hydroxide or potassium carbonate. Then crystallization. The resulting chemical reaction creates a wet mixture of potassium phosphate. This liquid is then dried and crystallized into a white odorless powder. So what is it used for? Well, common use is used as a non-dairy creamer because it prevents curdling. And that's what you've used. Not only you, all other manufacturers too. This is the fourth ingredient. So the fifth item you used in your product is anti-caking agent 551, which is silicon dioxide or silica. It is a food additive used to keep dry powders and granular foods free flowing, just to prevent clicking, because when people tear a sachet and pour, you want it to pour freely, so you have added it. It works by absorbing moisture and preventing particles from sticking together. You will commonly find it in spices, milk powder, salt, and instant coffee and tea. So safety concerns. While E551 is widely used, some scientific panels have highlighted the need for more research into the effects of its nanoparticle structure. So there is an ongoing research. So I won't take it as a 100% safety ingredient because we are consuming it. So look, creamer bracket 5 ingredients, what we went through: glucose syrup, hydrogenated palm kernel oil, sodium caseinate, emulsifier, stabilizer, anti-caking agent, all have gone through several chemical processes, which I am greatly concerned. Then we move on to the next ingredient is, now we are coming to the tea part, is sugar. So on your label, it says per serving, which is one sachet, 38 grams, got 10 grams of sugar. That's very high, because when we make fresh tea, we don't have to add so much. In fact, we can avoid it completely. Teh tarik can be made with just fresh milk and tea, brewing tea together. Only people who wanted sweetener, they add sugar, else it's not needed. Then skimmed milk powder, bracket cow's milk. Okay, again, as I said, skimmed milk powder to me is the most cheapest discarded food industrial waste, which everyone uses it because it's cheap. So to me, that's not at all an acceptable milk powder I use. I tell people, if you want to take any milk powder, go for 100% freeze-dried milk powder. So that skimmed milk powder doesn't meet my criteria as a food. That's my personal choice. Then instant black tea, 5%, fine. Now the main people buying is for that. And it says contains permitted sweetener sucralose. So sucralose is one of the artificial sweeteners because it is 600 times more sweeter than real sugar. It's a sweetener, yes. You correctly pointed out that I made a mistake by saying sweetener as a sugar. I'm sorry for that. Sucralose is an artificial sweetener like ace sulfame, K, and things like that. There is a lot of controversy now. Just look at the slide. It says more sweeteners disturb gut bacteria in the lab, even the natural ones. So when gut bacteria is disturbed, it will affect the mood of a person. So to me, I am against all sorts of artificial stuff. That's my thing. Sugar means yes, go for any natural sugar, I'm fine, but not any artificial sugar. So in this whole thing, tell me what is healthy except for the 5% real black tea. That's the good part. But to me, the remaining 95% is a total failure. That's my point. And then you also have a wording. Tarik is a native language in Malaysia, the Malay language for pull. It is a pouring process which includes cascading the beverage back and forth repeatedly between 2 cups to produce a thick froth resulting in a desirable, silky, smooth taste of a pulled tea. Trust me, if you pull this, if you do Tarik with this, mixing with water and your sachet, you will not have froth. You will not have the natural taste at all. It will be completely chemical taste. As I already gone through how much of chemical process each one goes through. Then a perfect smooth balance in every cup. Yes, instant teh tarik is so easy to make and convenient too. Yes, convenient too, but inconvenient life after that when they get diabetes, heart attack, stroke or cancer or die from it. For that absolutely delicious, superior taste and aroma, we make and serve the right choice. I'm sorry, I don't agree to that statement. So now let's go back to your original statement. And then you are saying, furthermore, you mentioned that creamer, emulsifier, stabilizer and anti-caking agent as saying it is completely unsafe, whereby this are standard legally permitted food ingredients which is widely used. That's my concern. Who approved it? Which year was it approved? Why is it that every ingredient goes through so much of chemical process is allowed to be added to food? This is what authorities must answer. They're not giving me an answer. I've been writing to our President Tharman, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, Healthcare Minister Ong Ye Kung, asking a lot of questions on health-related matters. They're not even answering. You also mentioned sucralose as a third sugar, which I don't understand, as sucralose is a permitted high-intensity sweetener and that is not sugar. Yes, I apologize for that. It is 600 times more sweetener than real sugar. Why are you adding it? That's to make people addictive, right? So the 3 tastes which makes a person addictive is sweety, salty, fatty. But what happens? Ultimately, these 3 are deadly. So you have added glucose syrup, sugar and a sweetener. To me, it's a no-no. The worst part to me is you tell your audience that whoever wants to die faster, please drink more of this. Sorry, that's not my statement. That's a statement of ultra-processed food. When people eat more ultra-processed food, they get death, cancer, diabetes, obesity, and many more of diseases. Sir, our product is not a poison and just an instant beverage manufacturer. Yes, it's not a poison. Yes, it literally 1 pack won't kill you, or even 1 whole pack like this won't kill. But eventually, if people take it for a long time, definitely they will have a health issue. Lastly, you tell consumers that outside Mama's stall teh tarik is 1,000 times better, whereby they also use condensed milk with high sugar. Totally agreed. Undisputable. But there are places where people use fresh milk and brew tea, add to it and give. I have tasted it as well. So not every mama shop uses condensed milk. There are mama shop available with just tea and fresh milk. Please check the tea powder percentage if you want to know better. From our business point of view, we encourage our consumers to enjoy all foods and beverage at a moderate amount which won't harm a person's health like what you described. No, I'm against it. I tell people zero ultra-processed food. That's my point. Here I would like to request you to delete the video regarding our products which is misleading. Well, I have made this half-an-hour video to explain my point of view. If you got further questions, let's discuss. And again, I repeat, you are not the only manufacturer who does it. A lot of other manufacturers also use similar things. I just happen to have your product because it was given to me to evaluate. So it's not that I'm deliberately picking on you, no. And I also thank you again for being very respectable because gentlemen like you are very rare nowadays. So I truly respect you, Andy. But my request to you, personal request to you is, please make a product with less artificial ingredients, and I will review it again if you can make something good which can meet my standards. Thank you for that.